This is Robbie Eagles.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
Hi, this is Mimic. This is 5-time the world's heavyweight champion, the Scrap Daddy himself, Scrap Iron Adam Pierce.
This is Brian Alvarez, and you are listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Welcome to the show, folks. My name is Josh Armour, and thanks very much for downloading Wrestle Radio Australia. This is our first episode.
Oh, yeah!
G'day, this is Big Brody Marshall.
This is Brian Alvarez.
This is Dean Brady of the Millennials.
This is the Jurassic Punk Sid Parker.
How many of you guys have heard the term kayfabe?
Hello, doggers. This is Jay Hunter from OSW Review.
This is Matt Grim Basso.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
This is Scrap Iron Adam Pierce, and you are locked in
to Wrestle Radio Australia.
I in the game, I'm champion, I'm Triple H. Undertaker, I'm your maker, buried the brother like Kane. Ooh, 1-3, hit the tombstone, hit the choke slam on face. Ooh, yeah, like a macho, heel, trying like country muscle. If you suffer like tomatoes, I'ma keep a couple models. Ooh, and you may call me HBK. When I'm tuning up the vein, you best be getting in my way. Ooh, yeah, I'm degenerate, I love it, yes, I love it. If you wait down with that, then I got two is what you suck it. Too sweet, put your fangs up. Too sweet, hold another cup. Let's be busy, 23, got me feeling way too sweet.
Hey guys, Tony Schiavone here, making chicken salad. That's sure gonna put some butts in seats.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. Put a square peg in a round hole, just never seems to fit.
This is Bianca Belair.
Hey, this is Kevin Owens.
Hey, it's Seth freaking Rollins.
It is the man, Becky Lynch.
It's Rhea Ripley here, and you're listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Hello and welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I am your host, Lachlan Albert, and I am joined by a nice guy but not a boss, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
I thought I was the opposite. I'm the boss, but I'm not a nice guy.
Well, swings and roundabouts, hey. I'm also joined by a man who never misses a handshake, and that's Jeff Setti. Jeff, how you doing, brother?
Never. Ever miss a handshake. Prefer a hug, but never miss a handshake. I just want to correct one thing you said in the intro, Lachlan. You say it every week, but you say we talk about everything around the world of wrestling. Well, you talk about everything until your internet shits out, and then it's just
boom, boom.
It actually looks better now than what it has done the whole time we've been doing this. So
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, this is the best it's been. Mobile data, yes.
Haircuts fresh, mate. Haircuts fresh.
Thanks. I hate getting my hair cut, so it happens very rarely. But look, we're not here to talk about haircuts unless there's a hair versus hair match going on. Oh, boys, I already know that you're right there with me on the haircuts. It grows so quickly, doesn't it? Constantly.
The only reason I've grown a beard is so I can actually go down and get it trimmed now. So I've actually got a reason to go to a barber.
That's just so you can have someone to talk to. All right.
That's true.
Let's move on.
I know you like trying to talk to me, but that's why I make the internet crap out so I don't have to put up with it as much.
Tim Wilkes says, I win already. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Speaking of Tim Wilkes joining us at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia or on Facebook at Wrestle Radio Australia, you can get part of the conversation as Tim's done. You can also join us. So Facebook is where Tim Wilkes is. Twitch is where Nightmare BC is. Or you can head on over to the YouTube where we're streaming live and WrestleMania put their comment there. So if you're on any of those platforms following Wrestle Radio Australia, you can be part of the conversation. And the conversation this week, well, look, we all know what week it is. There's lots of news going on, but at the end of the day, this is WrestleMania week, baby. WrestleMania 40 is on the horizon here in Australia. It's going to be on Sunday and Monday, beginning at, I believe, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 a.m. Daylight Savings Time on those 2 days.
No. Let me correct you. Daylight Savings finishes on Sunday morning. So it's going to be at 11 a.m. for the main show, 9 a.m. for the pre-show on the East Coast, and obviously 3 hours before that, 8 a.m. for the main show, and 6 a.m. if you get up in Perth for the pre-show.
Oh, that's so
brilliant.
good. I can change
that. Ease our scheduling. Hey,
I was going to say the posters can be so much simpler now.
Yes.
So do we want to get in and talk about what's on the cards for WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2? Before we do we have any general thoughts about what the makeup of WrestleMania 40 is looking like?
I've just got to say I'm so looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be a great show. It's like some matches have been a bit rushed, but I'm generally happy with this card, and I'm generally happy with the way it looks.
Yeah, Todd?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's gonna be a fun couple of nights. They threw in the little extra like the street fight and stuff like that going into like this coming up weekend. And although I'm still not happy with the whole Intercontinental thing, I'm digging the shows overall. They spread the talent out well over the two shows.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely interesting to see that they have kept it to 6 or 7 matches on both cards, even with these last couple of matches that have been added. Obviously, I think that there are some matches that would be better with other people, which we'll talk about. But let's get cracking into it. Night 1, we're going to have... okay, look, let me be negative already. We don't know exactly the order of these shows, but we do know kind of where the matches will probably sit, and we're guessing that The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins is going to be the main event of Night 1, considering it's got The Rock in it, which means officially the prize for the Women's Royal Rumble is just a match and not a main event at WrestleMania. So that's nice and exciting. Tim Wilkes mentioning both
but
have they agree?
Have they ever actually said that it's for a main event, or have they only ever said that it's for a world title match of their choosing?
They specifically didn't this year, but in previous years they have said WrestleMania main event, and they've had the women main event Night 1 and the men main event Night 2.
So there you go. So they didn't. They haven't lied. They just didn't do it.
No, they didn't lie about it, but they've stopped doing it. Yeah. But anyway, the Women's World Championship is going to be on the line with Rhea Ripley defending against Becky Lynch. Now, I know that we all want Rhea to retain because we're all Rhea marks in this chat. No surprise there. But Becky Lynch wants to break our heart. So which way do we see this going?
Let me break your heart, as she said to me in Perth. More charisma than she knows what to do with. I actually reckon this will be a double turn. I reckon for the first time since 13, they're going to successfully pull off a double turn. I think Becky her character needs something fresh. It's been a bit stale for a little while. So I think there's a couple of things that are contributing to this. Rhea retaining the title because Becky apparently only has a couple of months left on her contract and hasn't re-signed yet, if you believe dirt sheets, etc., etc. So I could see Rhea retaining, Becky going nuts, leaving with Dom, turning her back on Seth and Rue and all that, because they could really play into that now, and have her leave with Dom and Rhea become like the lone wolf survivor, and still call herself Mommy, because she'll always be Dom's Mommy. And they can just have fun with it. I reckon they'd go off to the races on that. And I think Becky knew exactly what she was saying to me at the Elimination Chamber Media Day. She knew exactly what she was talking about. So let her break my heart. It's what I bloody want to see.
Todd?
I just think it's going to be a Rhea show. Like, it's going to be a really good match, but like, I don't think there's no real need for the way Jeff's saying, like a double turn, because I think without even trying, Rhea's already a face.
Oh, massive!
And they're just letting. I think at certain points.
At house shows at the US at the moment, she's fighting Nia Jax. She's not fighting heels. She's fighting Nia. She's faces. She's fighting Nia. So they're absolutely drowning in the fact she's a face.
But I just think that nowadays they're just like, well, for certain people, we're just going to let the crowd decide who they are. We're going to keep them their core beliefs and the way they act, how they are, but the crowd can decide whether they're a babyface or a heel by their reactions, and we'll book accordingly. So we'll put them mainly up against heels or mainly up against babyface. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Rhea independently is a face, while Rhea, as part of the Judgment Day, is a heel, right? That's what we tend to see. And I know that obviously Australia seems like the outlier there, where Nia was the opponent in the main event, but then it's been, like you said, Jeff, in the house shows, the opponent for Rhea has been either Nia or Shayna Baszler recently, which both heels, right? So face at the house shows, I think that as much as I can see WWE wanting to take the title off of Rhea because she's had it for a while, I can also see there being no real reason to, on account of the fact that Rhea's money. And Becky doesn't need a title to be money because she had that big man run. Everyone's still a fan of Becky. It's not going to really push the envelope for her to be champ again, I don't think. It's really, really interesting to have this match and genuinely not know which way it's going to go. Tim Wilkes saying the way Dom isn't getting along with Judgment Day is interesting. Definitely something to consider there. I would still love to see.
How do you guys feel about Rhea's title run? To be honest, she's amazing. She's incredible. But I'm a little underwhelmed by it. Maybe, it just doesn't seem to have as much momentum as they like. She seems more of a focus with Judgment Day than with the title. And I'd rather...
in a way, look, in a way that's sort of good because that title is always in focus. Being a part of Judgment Day, she's always on TV in multiple segments where they've been she's still getting the face. She's still having the good matches. It's
yes, she is. There's no doubt. I
don't think that the title would change hands for the mere fact that I think a lot of titles are going to change hands. So you've got to leave the title with somebody.
I think there's two. I think there's two that the titles won't change hands. And hey, we're going to talk about the other one a bit quite soon. But I'm looking forward to this either way. But I still maintain I would have liked a stronger reign from her.
And Tim Wilkes says no credible contender to take it from Rhea. I think that's part of it, right? There hasn't really felt like a big signature feud for this title run because Rhea's been really dominant. And so who makes sense to take it from her other than Bianca, who's been over and involved with the other women's title, right? You've got Io Sky and Bayley over there on the other show. It definitely feels like anyone who could reasonably be in contention for that title is doing it over on the other show. And then there was the Elimination Chamber for this Mania title shot, which Becky won.
Yeah, I also think that the disease that's happening to Raquel has sort of put a handbrake on a lot of stuff because I could have seen them going with those two for a nice little run together, and it's unfortunate for her because I know that those two were really good friends back in NXT, so there's a really good story they can tell going through that.
Of note, Raquel has now been moved to the alumni page. She's not been removed from WWE, but she's now a non-active wrestler until she gets her skin issues sorted. And we know that Australian wrestlers listen to this show, so who knows? But Raquel, I just hope she feels fine. I hope she gets better because she was beginning to really find it in ring, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah, absolutely sucks. Absolutely sucks what's going on.
Unique look and really good. So big future on her, and I hope it can sort out.
Yeah, and there was a couple of matches with Raquel that were on, I think, Payback. There was a title match against Raquel last year, right? But other than that, there really hasn't been... I'm trying to think of who has been up against Rhea for that title. It was Zelina Vega in Puerto Rico, and there was a Natalia feud in there, and then I feel like at Survivor Series there was... what's her name? the young one, the one who just got called up and was in the Trish feud. Someone help me out here.
Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark, yeah.
Thank you. At that match. Other than that and the Nia Jax match, I can't think of another person who has gone up against her for the belt.
Well, there was,
but that's like you just named like 6 or 7 people.
You did.
Sure. How many of them feel like credible champions?
Yeah. None of them.
Like
none
maybe
of them
Natalia.
Take the title off her though. None of them.
No. I mean, she won it off Charlotte at last WrestleMania, right? So she's held it for a year.
Then,
and the biggest name that's challenged her is Natalia.
But then also, like, you want credible challenges, but then you also don't want her to burn through people that could potentially beat her. So you've got to put in these people that, like, if you put Selena Vega up against her in Puerto Rico, to the Puerto Ricans, she's a viable contender. She's an actual threat. So it kind of works that way. And because we've all watched SummerSlam in Wembley Stadium, we always go, there's a chance because they're at her home that Rhea might lose this match. So they've done little tricks sort of like that to try and keep it going. Well, I understand what you're saying, but it's kind of hard when you don't have, like, they're setting things up, and there's also been a lot of injuries going through. I think even Rhea was injured for a time.
That would make sense. It feels like, the defenses have been a little bit sparse, which I don't think is a major problem because it builds her as a credible long-term champ, right? The fact that there aren't many defenses, and when there are defenses, they're dominant. Anyway, we should move on because rather than just talking about 2 people, the next match has 12. That's because there's a 6-pack ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. The Judgment Day are going to be defending against DIY, The New Day, The Awesome Truth, New Catch Republic, and A-Town Down Under, who have had some recent online nonsense with some muscle guy that I know nothing about.
What do we think is happening? I actually like that guy.
Okay. What do we think's happening in this 6-pack ladder match, guys?
I think Awesome Truth are going to take it.
Yeah, so do I. I'd rather it be DIY, but Awesome Truth.
I'd rather it's DIY or the New Catch Republic, but I think Awesome Truth are going to take both titles. And it'll be
I don't know what's going on with this. I to not spoil what's going on in the break. Did like a mystery Q&A sort of thing, and somebody asked if like R-Truth was going to grab one belt and then somebody else grab another belt, and that like splitting up the titles. Like I don't even think that was ever. See, Tim just goes there. Truth takes. Where have you ever read that that's what the rules are in this match, Tim? Or is this just like fantasy booking? You're on shrooms.
It's pure shrooms, but I like it because I'm sick of there only being one set of tag titles, personally.
Yeah, but you know what though? Do you know why? And I'm gonna like poke a hole in this, right? If he's up there grabbing one belt, why the fuck doesn't he grab 2?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, why the fuck did he bring a ladder to the Royal Rumble, Todd?
I think.
Okay, anyone in that match, not R-Truth. Anyone in that match. Why the fuck wouldn't they grab 2 belts?
I think what might be another way to do this is you've got, let's say Ciampa on one side, going up the ladder, doing the slow climb to build the drama, and he grabs a belt and he unhooks it, and it's the red belt. And R-Truth is on the other side at the same time, and he grabs a belt and unhooks it, and it's the blue belt. So
that makes more sense. That makes more
sense. You
sense.
split the titles that way.
Yeah.
That's what I can see happening. Because
that makes more sense than just like somebody going up and grabbing one set of belt, and then you're up there with the belt, and they're sitting right next to another belt going, oh, look at that. It's another championship. Why wouldn't you just fucking grab it?
Yeah, and that's Tim's point, right? Everyone else would grab both, but Truth wouldn't.
No, I think Truth would.
But also stop melding the psychology of the way you want the match to go just by saying, oh, because it's R-Truth. Because that's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I'm hoping that the titles split here, but for me, I would really like to see a split between DIY and Awesome Truth. That's the way that I would like it to be.
Oh, Andy PWM. Sorry. Our own Bob Vance Refrigeration said Colt told us on Raw this week that it's scramble style and for both set of belts separately. Yes, Bob, I'm going to keep calling you Bob Vance at Vance Refrigeration because it pops me if no one else.
And there's rumors going around about A-Town Down Under being pulled from this match and replaced by Motor City Machine Guns, if you want to believe the dirt sheets going around.
No, they're off to Tonyland.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're going to come to the E, which is a shame because they're both
Tony
excellent.
hasn't got his full collection of Ring of Honor from 2018 yet.
Yeah,
yeah, and
he hasn't made a very special announcement for about a month, so it's time.
WWE don't like new signings over 35 typically, so you got to factor that in as well.
Yeah, I don't know if that so much matters nowadays. It's like in that
surely still got to be a factor.
Yeah, but when you've got guys like that, you would make an exception. There is an exception to every rule. Like it's the same way as like most people.
I don't know that the exception is Motor City Machine Guns.
Well, as a tag team?
Yeah.
It's sort of like when you said, well, everyone goes through NXT, that's it. But that's not how you debuted AJ Styles. There's exceptions to rules.
Look, I don't think signing the Motor City Machine Guns would be the worst thing in the world, but I think they need to be careful because a lot of WrestleMania fans are not wrestling fans, and you run the risk of the audience going, "Yeah, who the fuck's that?"
And this is
they'd win them over.
Everyone sends around exactly the rumor that everyone's sending around for this WrestleMania is, it's going to be the WWE debut of MJF, right?
No.
5% of the WrestleMania audience knows who MJF is.
But there's no way he's debuting.
There's no way he's debuting. But also, people won't know who he is.
Yeah.
Right?
No, he is locked up.
WWE have given TNA some brand name cash, and MCMG are both former heavyweight champs and tag champs. I could see them coming in, much as I'd prefer to see MCMG versus FTR.
I agree with you there, Andy. Quite true.
But look, like I love what you're saying there, Andy, but we both know that by the third week, like Motor City Machine Guns will be on Rampage against fucking like
Luther and
best
Serpentico.
friends. Yeah, Luther and the Spanish announce team or whatever the fuck it's called.
Luther and Serpentico. Serpentico got fired a while ago. He's there.
Tony doesn't remember that. Serpentico's still there.
No, it was the bloke that that they made a big fuss out of signing. Sammy's mate. They made a big fuss out of signing this guy.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Something.
It's been El Fuego.
El Fuego, that's him.
El Fuego, yeah. He was never seen on TV again.
We've also got a tag team match on this card. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Look, I would prefer Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar just because if you'd told me that was happening 5 years ago, I would have busted a nut. But this is
we have already seen that though.
You are not staying at my place next week, mate. That's it. That's.
I think this is interesting as the second WrestleMania match to happen between Mysterio and Mysterio, right? Like that's definitely probably going somewhere. I have to imagine that maybe this is going to be match 2 of a trilogy that ends in a rubber match that's Mysterio's retirement, perhaps. An interesting lineup in this one.
Look, I think that has all the potential of being the sleeper match of that show.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be such good, silly fun. I mean, before anything else, we're going to have a good time at this one. I'm a bit sad because there's no way they can top Dominic's entrance from last year, which was just unreal. Phenomenal. I just laughed solidly. Keanu Reeves thinks
Carlito turn?
Maybe.
That's 100% going to happen. If you watch SmackDown, that's 100% going to happen.
The crowd will go mild. I mean, Carlito is not. He came out, got a big pop in Puerto Rico, so they they hired him, and now he's just the water he's treading is getting thin. But yes, probably will happen, I'd say.
Yeah, well, let's face it. Carlito at his best was treading water. Like he was never really. He was never really anything.
He orchestrated the stabbing of John Cena, Todd.
And that was how he debuted. And then where did he go from there? You know what I mean? Like I think just like there's a lot of rose-colored glasses going on when we think about Carlito.
Yeah.
Has anyone had? Yeah.
And Andy PWDU says, has anyone had a bigger downgrade of their entrance music than Carlito? And Keanu says, he was the guy who spat the apple. That's all most of us know him as. So moving on from father versus son to brother versus brother, Jimmy Uso versus Jay Uso on the card. I think we're all ready to see the Uso splash from the turnbuckle to the announce table. That's going to be a good spot.
Yeah.
Look, that's because Carlin's had a few key players out, Brody.
Boom, boom. Big Brody Marshall misspelled Carlito, and he said hasn't been given the chance to shine in this run except for Puerto Rico. So thanks, Brody. Note that was just Todd giving you shit. Other members of this podcast respect you a lot, mate.
He'll be in Melbourne next week, Brady, if you want to find him. I won't give you the address, though.
He fucking knows where I'm at. I'm not scared of him. A little bit.
Look, I think Uso versus Uso will be great. I think the build to it has been a little bit stop-start. It hasn't been the best build to a match, but in-ring it's going to be fantastic. I think the reason they call him Main Event Jey Uso is because Main Event Jey Uso is probably going to take this out. But it's going to be a lot of fun getting there. Alex Fireheart, I predict an Uso will win. There, that's that joke out of the way. Thanks, Alex. Glad you could join, mate.
I just hope it's better than what they did at Rumble, because Rumble for me was underwhelming. No, it was very much like it didn't feel like there was much emotion in that at all. There was just two mates or brothers going like having a wrestle, whereas it's not what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy PWDU says, does it feel like they kind of forgot to build this match? They separated them last year to put them back together at Rumble, but only feel like they came together a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that, they keep talking about Brett versus Owen. They keep talking about Matt versus Jeff, and now Jimmy versus Jay. Fantastic. Great. But the build it's just sort of, they've rush built a few matches. The one before, but, Ray, Dragon Lee, and Santos Escobar are three amazing workers. And then you added the always improving Dominic Mysterio, and you're fine. Jimmy versus Jay.
Your chances of winning drastic go down, yes.
Jimmy versus Jay got the short end of the stick, I reckon.
But then, you've also got this like SmackDown, because SmackDown you've got Jimmy or Jay against Solo. So there's still another chance to but just bring a bit more heat to that. And I'm hoping that that's something that might happen. And
they've done a great job of bringing some heat to Rhea against Becky. They really have. But this match I think has suffered from a shuffle, if you like.
Speaking of matches without much build, there's going to be a 6-woman tag match coming up. It's going to have the newly formed faction of Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi up against Damage Control, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. This should be a banger.
It also means that women's tag titles aren't getting defended over WrestleMania this year.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I think that Jade Cargill's going to pin Dakota, and we can all move on. I really do think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just jump back to the Uso match. Alex Fireheart said, my hope is just that there's a winner. For some reason, I can see a double down after a simultaneous super kick to each other and then neither get back up. Not sure why I think that might happen, but who knows? Yeah, it's WWE. You never know.
I think Trips is less a fan of that sort of shit. So and especially at Mania, I think we're going to get a definite winner and no chicken thrown in the ring.
Yep. Big Brody Marshall predicting Dakota to be dropped after WrestleMania. It's a shame because Dakota has been unable to wrestle due to injury for a while. So,
yeah, I think they're going to hang on to her for a little bit and see what she can do over the next 12 months. But wouldn't surprise me either.
No.
All right.
Also, they're smart too, because if they're not quite sure what they've got in Jade aside from that look and the presentation, putting her in a 6-man is probably a really smart way to go about it.
Oh yeah,
especially alongside Bianca, who can work, against Asuka and Kyrie, who can work. Like at worst, there's a possible match there.
And Naomi can bring it. Like Naomi, whenever I see Naomi, I go, oh yeah, she can bring it. She, on her day, she's great.
Yeah, if it's not what we saw at Elimination Chamber from Naomi, it could be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, this is one that's controversial here in the WRA household. The Intercontinental Champion Gunther will be defending his title against Sami Zayn. Everyone on 3. 1, 2, 3. It should have been Gable.
Oh yeah, sorry, it should have been Gable. Look, it should have been Gable. I mean, I've got nothing more to say. I think Gunther's going to keep it, and Gable's going to go on to defeat him at SummerSlam.
Todd?
I get this weird feeling that whole Gunther thing with Gable on Raw was a setup. And I get a feeling that they're going to turn Gable on Zayn. And Gable and Zayn will feud, and then Zayn will get up and then possibly beat Gunther at SummerSlam.
No.
I just have this weird feeling about it.
I think because they've only just turned Gable face, like in the last 8 months. Really?
I get what you're saying. But I also can just see. I can just see him doing it.
Hope not. I really hope not.
So do I, because I think he's great. I think he's great. He's great.
To what you're saying, but I hope not.
Yeah,
I still feel Gable walking out of Mania IC champ.
Yeah, but do you know what though? It would have to be they would have to make it up for night 2, because you can't just do it where he has a match against Sammy, he beats Sammy and then does the WrestleMania 9 gimmick where he challenges Gable and the Gable just comes in and beats him fresh. Do you know what I mean? You can't do that. No, they would have to do something like that. But I just don't think they will. I hate it. I hate it with all my heart. I want Gable to be that Intercontinental Champion. I want Gable to be the one that beats Gunther's streak. Gable needs to be the one. Fuck being the Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov's had enough of a rub of Gunther. Keanu, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Gable. I agree.
He's had enough of a fucking rub. Gable's the guy that deserves that rub. He deserves that boost. He deserves that fucking spotlight to be. He should be the next fucking Kurt Angle, in my mind. That's how I see him. He can work his fucking ass off. He's good at the comedy. He's also a very good serious promo when he wants to be. I think he has all those tools, and they haven't pulled the trigger on him yet, and they need to pull the trigger on him. Sorry.
Gable makes me remember why I love wrestling, in that it's so emotional. He gets you so emotionally involved to the point where Sami Zayn is widely loved. Sami Zayn is so loved, he was getting booed. And it wasn't booing Sammy personally, it was booing the booking decision. The booking decision's a bit shit. Really. Sorry, I've just made us an explicit podcast for the fucking week.
Look, American Alpha was almost a decade ago, right? How are we not? how have they not pushed Gable to the moon yet? And
because
I
he
just
was
get
short.
this
Vince didn't like short guys.
Because
Vince called him Shorty G for a fucking reason.
And he got that over.
I forgot about that.
And he got that over. The guy's been given everything under the sun. My first or second chicken salad here, since I have been part of the podcast, was Chad Gable being able to get the worst gimmicks and make them amazingly popular. He did it with Shorty G. He did it with the Alpha Academy. He's doing it all the time. I think he's fantastic, and I think he should wind up with a singles title. They're making such a deal of saying he's never won a singles title, blah, 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 blah. It's time. It's really
the thing is, too, like American Alpha, that was designed to be Jason Jordan's vehicle at the end, because even though they kind of know, well, the right people, the people that know wrestling knew what they had in Gable.
Yeah.
But that guy that made all the decisions, he liked a certain look. He liked tall guys. He liked the muscular guys. He didn't like short guys. So Gable never had a chance, unfortunately. Now I'm hoping that has changed. When you've got guys like Dragunov being put in like good spots and stuff like that, I'm hoping that now has changed, and they will give someone who is so fucking talented a chance. Oh, calm down, Brody. Brody just wrote nothing wrong with that when I talked about him liking tall guys and muscular builds.
And Alex Fireheart saying, which is kind of funny because I cared more about Gable than Jordan, to be honest. Jason was good, but I preferred Gable. And Tim Wilkes said, Triple H knows talent overlooks. Let's talk about the probable main event of the night. Tag team match, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If Cody and Seth win, Bloodline will be banned from ringside for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match the following night. If The Rock and Roman win, Bloodline rules for the night 2 main event. Which way do we think this one's going, Jeff?
Bloodline rules, because that'll get people in the next night. That'll get people watching. And no one knows quite what Bloodline rules is. And anyway, if they're banned from ringside, they're just going to fucking show up. I mean, come on. Have people not been watching for the last few years? No, it's Bloodline rules. I think for interest's sake, Roman is going to pin Cody. And then it's going to be, will he be able to beat him tomorrow night? And you can get the really emotional promo from Cody on tape to play at the beginning of the next night. It's absolutely going to be The Rock and Roman. And it's the right decision.
Yeah, Alex Fireheart says, I would be absolutely shocked if Rock and Roman lost. The other thing that Bloodline rules lets you do is get all of the people associated with the Bloodline into the match, and then all the people the Bloodline have fucked over into the match to fight them off. So you're wrapping up this whole storyline of Roman as the champion and moving it on to the next champ. Todd, same page?
The only other scenario I can think is that something happens and The Rock gets pinned because of a fuck up between him and Roman, which leads to Roman, like The Rock, fighting off the rest of the Bloodline to help Cody win on night 2. That's the only other thing that I can think of happening. But the most logical sense thing is that Roman gets Roman pins Cody. Bloodline rules. You got like Brody says here, stacks the deck against Rhodes for the sympathetic underdog hero win. That's what the Bloodline rules is all about. It's all about putting that underdog in that spot. They're all about putting Dusty's baby boy into a precarious predicament.
But he's going to the pay window, baby. Who cares? I'm going to go to the pay window.
You cannot keep a good rolls down, baby.
Lachlan, who is that supposed to be?
Let him go.
So that's night 1 wrapped up. In the gap between us talking about each night, Big Brody Marshall says, off topic, how good is it that they're letting Ricochet off the leash? Fully agree, Big Brody Marshall. The debut of WWE Speed was so good to see Ricochet actually wrestle like Ricochet.
I haven't watched it yet. I will do.
It's at 5 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 minutes.
3
And
minutes.
Piper
3 minutes.
Niven,
Jesus
putting up a
Christ.
great 3 minutes. Piper Niven made a great post on X/Twitter about how this just seems made for the women. They know how to work a 3-minute match better than anyone. But moving on to night 2. That was so good. Moving on to night 2, we've got a World Heavyweight Championship match with Seth Rollins defending against Drew McIntyre. Finally, can we please see someone else as World Heavyweight Champion?
Yeah. And I think that Punk's going to interfere because he wants McIntyre after it all.
Todd?
Or do you see Seth win and then an old mate cash in?
That's possible too, especially if they lose the titles the night before. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably a cash in.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I can see it being Drew. I can see it being Drew because she's just getting so much momentum with his promos lately.
Oh god!
And it's a built-in thing with him and Punk as well. But yeah, it's that's the thing. Like this WrestleMania, really, there is no like clear cut when you're looking at something aside from like, and even like something when you look at it like Roman Reigns and Cody in night 2, and you're like, well, Cody has to finish it here. There's not clear cut that that's actually going to fucking happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's like pretty much you can have an argument for every match on this card, these 2 nights for either person winning. Yeah. And it's a viable argument. It's not something where you go, nah, you're dumb. That's no way. That's not going to happen. Like you can't make that. Like there's arguments both ways for these things.
Yeah.
Like here's my prediction actually, is it's going to be Seth and Drew. Punk interferes, costs it for Drew. Seth retains, then the cash in. So you have Seth chase the title and Drew chase Punk.
That's possible too.
The thing is, like I love the fact that we don't actually quite really know what's going to happen. It really sucks for my sports bet account because I usually make a good little tidy sum on a lot of these things because we have, like, as wrestling fans, we've got the inside sort of track about what we think is going to happen. But with these ones, you just don't know. I do not know. Like, we'll talk about it coming up, but I do not know who's going to win out of like Logan Paul, Orton, and Owens. I just don't. They could take the belt off Owen. They could take the belt off Logan. They could do it because WrestleMania would be the place to do it. But it could be either or, any of them. It's great. I love the fact that it's because at least we're not going into being so fucking predictable where it has been in previous years.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that soon, but let's talk about a Philadelphia street fight. Someone's getting hit with a cheesesteak. Hey-oh! Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits up against the Final Testament, which is Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain there.
Let me get my joke in.
Guys ever get...
Let me get my joke in. You can't spell Philadelphia without filler. Thank you.
Or
if that counts as a joke. Did you boys ever get Pain, which was the poetry book put together by a bunch of people that was supposedly the book of poetry by the Authors of Pain, titled Pain, that gave them their name? It was good. I'll have to find it. It's a little book of poetry. Maybe we can make that a segment. I can read some poems from Pain by the Authors of Pain. That's the most interesting thing I have to say about this match.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The most interesting thing I had to say is you can't spell Philadelphia without filler.
No,
look, I think Lashley and the Profits have to win this and end this interminable feud, which seems to have been going on since before Vince left. So let's hope.
I was listening to a podcast today, and the way that they explained it made perfect sense to me. Because do you remember the last when they were in Chicago and they needed something for, I think it was like the Legion of Doom and someone else did. So they said, we'll just go Chicago Street Fight. Yeah. And it ended up being one of the better matches on the card because they just went all at it. This is a potential to do that because you got guys that can throw people around like Authors of Pain. Bobby, you got fucking Karrion Kross. The Street Profits are great fucking workers.
Yeah.
like it's got all the potential. Like going into it, not a hell of a lot of interest going into it, but it's got a potential to be something that's like at least gonna have some highlights to it.
Yeah. It'll make the package.
Yeah, absolutely. Then LA Knight versus AJ Styles in the battle of initial last name.
Sorry, Lachlan, I like that. That was very good. LA Knight's going to win this. It'll be good, but LA Knight's going to win this.
Yeah. I think
you can't spell Philadelphia without filler. It'll be good.
Fucking
see,
Jesus.
it's in the delivery, Jeff. I got to laugh from it, baby.
No, you got to laugh because you stole the joke.
It was a pity laugh.
You stole my bit, Lachlan.
Yeah, I see LA Knight winning this one. It'll be good.
It'll be fine.
AJ Styles.
I still pop myself from my joke from last week, so I've retired from jokes for this week.
Yeah, thankfully.
I'm not gonna. Hey, that was a good one. That joke.
It was a good one, but thankfully.
Triple threat match for the United States Championship. Logan Paul defending against both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. I think whatever happens, it's going to result in Logan Paul losing his title so that he can have a main event title match against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Interesting hypotheses.
Yeah, I think Orton's going to win this. He hasn't done much of anything since he got back. I mean, he's been highly amusing, but he hasn't done much of anything. I think Orton's going to win this. Keanu Reviews thinks this should have been a four-way with LA Knight in this match.
I think Orton shouldn't have been in this. I think Orton shouldn't have been in this at all. Like, if they'd have been going through what the story was, it should have just been like Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, because that was the story leading all the way through to fucking Elimination Chamber. And then Randy got put in. So, when is Punk due back? We'll go straight into title contention storyline. That's true. Well, he intimated on the Ariel Helwani show that he's not too far off, but he's being very cautious, and it's all just depends on what they want him to do. So there's no real actual. The words he used was, "It is nowhere near as bad as what the first one was," on his other arm.
But he did say that they're defending him from himself.
Yeah.
WWE are defending him from himself because he'd go back tomorrow, quite obviously.
And then there's Randy. Randall Keith. I'm picking Kevin Owens for this one. I think KO as US champ. I think Owens has been a favorite of Triple H for a long time. I think if you go back to, and again, I know that it's kayfabe, but remember, Trips was the one who made Owens win the Universal title, right? Owens came into NXT looking extremely strong when Trips was in charge. I think that Owens is a Trips favorite. And I think Triple H knows what he can do with a Kevin Owens US Championship run. So that's the way I see this one going. But being a very good match with Orton and Owens fighting over who gets to beat up Logan Paul, which I think is a great way to orchestrate a match.
The other thing,
Kevin Owens and Randy Orton feud would be really good.
The other thing to note about Kevin is he has lost a lot of weight in the last 12 months. And usually when that happens, they reward them somehow. Tim works the task. Will Triple H be seen on camera at all? Okay. Tim, fucked if I know, but probably.
He'll come out and announce the attendance.
Yeah, as he did in Perth.
Yep.
That's kind of his gig now.
Brody says, looking forward to the Logan high spot in this match. Yep, absolutely agree. All right, WWE Women's Champion Io Sky defending that title against Bayley. Bayley wins, right?
Yep.
You would think she has to. The way the story's going and the way it's leading, it makes sense for it to happen.
I think this will be wonderful. I think this will just be a beautiful match. Two great workers. Io has been really good as champ. Again, hasn't been given the focus I wanted it to. Didn't really do a lot of matches at all. So if I'm going to be critical of Rhea, I should act. Rhea's not critical of Rhea. Rhea's run as champ. It's doubly so
Critical
for
of
Rhea.
Rhea's run. Yep.
Yeah, it's doubly so for Rhea.
Yes.
But I think this will be great.
Not that long ago, I was saying that Io is the best wrestler in the world. No qualifiers, the best professional wrestler in the world. I don't think she's had the opportunity to show that in WWE. I'm talking 2016. I think Io was the best wrestler in the world. Bar none.
That's 8 years old. You were still in high school.
And I think that Bayley, when given the chance to truly shine, think back to TakeOver Brooklyn, puts on a hell of a match.
Oh, she's
right.
phenomenal.
This has all of the tools to be a match that we talk about for years to come in terms of quality.
Yeah, this will be great.
Yeah, it is going to be a great match. There's no two ways about it. Like, Bayley's an amazing worker. Io is very, very good. I just think this is going to be the ending of that chapter of the story for those guys. I dare say it'll keep going because you've still got like the other two, like Asuka and that could go after Bayley afterwards.
Who was it that said that they'll fight Dakota after WrestleMania? They won't, because she has to be a mouthpiece in Damage Control. Damage Control, as it stands, needs a mouthpiece, and that's Dakota.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, WWE thinks Damage Control needs a mouthpiece. They don't at all.
Well, like they can continue to do the pre-recorded promos where they do the subtitles, but after a while that gets old. Like, you need to eventually
Asuka's
do
English
the spoken.
Fine.
Asuka's English is fine, but there is a connotation amongst particularly Southern audiences still. And sadly, Triple H has linked into that connotation that you need to have, Japanese people are still evil, in inverted commas.
Okay, they're heels.
Yeah, but still. I'm saying it's a shame.
Like,
the heels.
Like, I fully agree with you, and there shouldn't be the connotation because she's entirely understandable. There is no problem with her English whatsoever.
She's great.
But if the argument is, they need a mouthpiece because she has a strong accent and Southerners are going to not appreciate that, then lean into that because they're supposed to get booed, right? Like, I don't see, and this is what Asuka and and Kairi were doing as heels previously. They were coming out and cutting promos in Japanese in order to get hate. I don't think they need a mouthpiece at all. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Dakota's great, and I hope Dakota's got a job. I don't think Damage Control needs a mouthpiece.
I know that, but
I think you're using a convenient argument to blame rednecks for the fact that it is very hard to tell stories when somebody can't speak the language of the people that are watching the show. Like, you can do the whole
people who watch the show.
Very basic, man. It's very she has very basic English.
Have you watched much Carnage on TV? Her English is very good.
Her English is fantastic. I'm not arguing with you that her English is great, but my point is that it is not something that people, but like Middle America even probably won't have the patience. You can build the stories better with someone who speaks English.
Okay, I disagree, but I see that this is going to be an agree to disagree conversation, right? And part of that comes from the fact that I'm can't even talk.
Perfectly
happy.
You can't even fucking speak English.
you want me to get Dakota for your mouthpiece, Lachlan?
But my point is that I'll watch Triple R and I'll watch CMLL and I'll watch Stardom and all of that stuff. So I don't need someone to speak English for me to care about the wrestling. Right?
No.
And you know one of my favorite heel runs was Kagetsu. So,
yes. But yeah, I understand that people disagree with me, and Tim Wilkes says Nakamura doesn't need a mouthpiece. And I would say that Asuka's English is better than Nakamura's English. Right? Alex Firehart asks, I forget, has Owens ever cut a promo in French in WWE for Heat? Not an entire promo, but part
when he was United States champion back in the day.
Yes, he certainly did. He certainly did when he was US champion.
He definitely cut parts of it in French. In Quebecois French. Just choked on something there. Main event of the show.
You hit me.
Main event of the show. WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Which way does this one go, boys?
Honestly, I think we'll see the end of the story this time. It's been built up too much not to see Cody finish his story. But what a fantastic run. Like, if it is the end, good God, Roman's been great. Over the last year, he hasn't wrestled as much as I'd like, but boy, he's been good. So I think Cody's going to finish his story at this point. What do you think, Todd? Do you think Cody's finishing his story, or they're going to drag it on?
I'll tell you what, mate. If it's not the end of the story, strap on a stack hat and wear the brown underwear if you're going on X, because there will be a shitstorm of monumental proportions.
No, I think it's the end. I think it's perfect. I think they built it really well. I think it'll be bloodline rules, and I think that it's going to be Cody winning thanks to some shenanigans and some fun. Seth will come out and help, and a few others will come out. And, as you said, all those that were screwed over by Roman and the bloodline for the last X amount of years will be coming out and helping out. And I think it'll be really lovely.
I also think I would put down money. The bloodline will use a rubber chicken as a weapon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, I just read Brody Marshall.
Brody, that's hilarious. Someone can read it.
Brody says MJF runs out and gives the assist to Cody. AEW fans shit out their livers. Well, I don't know how to segue shitting out livers. Normally, I've got good segues.
But if you want to shit out your liver, make sure you subscribe to.
Did you shit out your liver and need some new clothes because your shit's ruined? Redbubble.com. Search for Wrestle Radio Australia.
Oh, fuck. That was my joke for the day, guys. See you later. Tip your waitress.
That was a good one.
Alrighty. So head on over to Redbubble, search for Wrestle Radio Australia, get some merch with our face on it. Head to WrestleRadioAustralia.com. Find the links. Follow us on social media, Look, we got lots of news to talk about because we covered the WrestleMania card, but we haven't covered the AEW releases or the Ariel Helwani show or, any of that stuff. So I think we'd better cover that right after this.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Listen up. Ballarat, Australia, Starrcast is going down under. We're coming to you April 11th through April 14th. Thanks to our main sponsor, Visit Victoria, and my buddy Cam Val over at Oceana Pro Wrestling. We've put together 4 incredible days. There really is something for everybody. Now, if you've never been to a Starrcast before, I want to explain this is like a wrestling fan's dream. You get meet and greets with some of your favorite wrestlers, some of your favorite superstars, some of your favorite Hall of Famers. Not just that, you also get to pick their brain. We're going to have them on stage doing panel discussions and stage shows, and there's going to be some Q&A in there. And man, I have never been on stage with Bret the Hitman Hart. I cannot wait to pick his brain about that WrestleMania 10 match with Owen and so much more. Eric Bischoff. And there's also some wrestling shows. That's right. We've got Mickie James doing an all-ladies show, and Bret Hart brings the Australian Stampede to life. You don't want to miss it. If you grab yourself a platinum or gold bracelet, you get all access to all events. You won't miss it at all. Now, if you can't make it to all 4 days, we do have day passes available, but I strongly encourage you, pick up a bracelet. We're going to have unique experiences you can't find anywhere else. Yeah, I'm bringing some of my ring-used championships with me. The actual big gold belt from WCW. The same one that Dusty and Ric Flair and even Hulk Hogan played air guitar with. Goldberg's belt. It'll all be there. Not only that, Randy Savage's Intercontinental. What about the world title from WrestleMania 17 that The Rock and Stone Cold battled for? It's all going to be in Ballarat, Australia as a part of Starrcast Downunder. Grab your bracelets right now. Whether it's platinum or gold, you can't go wrong, but you don't want to miss anything. Don't come to 1 day. Don't come to 2 days. Come to all 4 days. Lock it down right now before it's too late at Starrcast.com. We have only just begun announcing legends, and you don't want to miss what's coming your way. That's Starrcast.com, Starrcast.com. We'll see you soon, Ballarat, April 11th through April 14th. Thanks to our friends at Visit Victoria. Grab those bracelets now, Starrcast.com.
For the first time ever, Starrcast goes international. Oceania Pro Wrestling presents Starrcast Downunder, set to take Ballarat, Victoria by storm from April 11th through to April 14th, bringing the Starrcast experience to Australia. And with all the staples of Starrcast that has made it a wrestling fan's dream destination. Meet and greets with your favorite wrestling stars of yesterday and today. Live stage shows including a Sunday with Bret Hart, a retrospective on his Hall of Fame career, including a special watch-along celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Hitman's legendary WrestleMania 10 match against his brother Owen. Also including an audience Q&A with the excellence of execution. We'll also have live wrestling shows, in-ring action including Mickie James's all-women's show, Her, and a special supercard, Bret Hart's Australian Stampede. All this along with the photo ops, autographs, merch, and memorabilia, making Ballarat the place to be this April. Never before has a weekend like this taken place in Australia until now. Starrcast Downunder, presented by Oceania Pro Wrestling. Tickets are available now. Visit Starrcast.com for more information.
We should go to that.
I think that's someone.
So we haven't talked about this on the podcast, boys, but all three of us are going to be there in Ballarat.
I think we talked about it. You were
in the
Matrix.
You were going.
Oh, of course.
You were on I'm still here. I am turning my camera off.
I was on assignment,
gentlemen. But please keep talking. For reasons. I don't need to tell you why, but reasons.
Cool. So scheduling wise, I believe we will not be having a show next Thursday for anyone who's used to getting in and seeing us on a Thursday night. But for anyone who is coming down to Ballarat, like Pario Magazine there in the chat, while you're at Starrcast, come say hello.
Because I was thinking, right, should we maybe try to do a Tuesday night? I know that Jeff mightn't be able to because he'd be in like Brainium mode.
No, I can probably do Tuesday actually
because it's after the Raw after Mania, so we can talk about like Mania and we can talk about the Raw after.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Tuesday sounds good.
Okay. And then we can really dig in. We can really dig in and preview like Starrcast as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Pardon me. All right, guys. So there you go. So Tuesday night, we're going to talk about. Yeah, and I'm going to try and find a way to be able to edit stuff and throw stuff up during the Starrcast weekend. So I'm hoping, and this is just for you guys who are watching the live stream, so you guys know, because I don't know if I'll talk about this on the podcast. I'm hoping to for us to record interviews and sort of just quick interviews during the day of when we're at the convention sort of thing. And I can edit them together and then put them up either that night or the next morning as podcasts, and also maybe a bit of the video thing. So it'll go up on our Twitch thing, but won't be such a live show so much. So
now, Todd,
that's the idea.
Todd, you got some people to send in anonymous questions so that they could try and get you in trouble during the break. Do you want to go through some of them?
You can. Hang on a second, Brody. You doing shit with? I tried, mate. I tried, and we got to a certain point where we'd set a day, or we'd set a time, but then the day never happened, and then I haven't really got to talk to him. I understand he's a very busy man, so I'm not really that. I'm not devoted about it, but yeah, I wish I was though, because I again, just the people watching the live stream, of anyone that's like an Australian like podcast about wrestling, wear it. This is no disrespect to the Turnbuckle Boys, no disrespect to any of those guys at all, but wear it. When it comes to covering as many promotions as we can around the country, reviewing different shows, knowing the talent in and out, that the way that not even me, but Lachlan definitely knows a lot more. He's traveled to more shows around the country than a lot of us have. Like you went to the EPW show, you went to bloody Slam, you're coming down to Starrcast. Like
you went to Coliseum, Lachlan.
You went to Coliseum. You know what I mean? You've traveled more than a lot of most any Australian wrestling fans. So yeah, I would have liked to think that they would have, that maybe something would have happened. But then again, like he's got his own podcast network, so he's got people that can talk into a microphone.
And Todd, I also went to Slam and the EPW Super Show. But you conveniently forget that.
Yeah. But
Brody says,
don't remember
get
a
to
lot of them.
RCW, Lachlan, you fuck. Hey, Brody, when something interesting's happening in your state, that I'll come down, all right?
Whoa. The opinions of
very
Lachlan, not the opinions of Jeff City.
You're very fucking tough over the internet, aren't you?
Wow.
I sure am. I would not say that to
Fucking
Brody's
hell.
face. No, I desperately want to go to
Brody,
RCW.
you can come and beat both of them up at my place next.
That's all right.
Honestly,
I got very insulted the other day when somebody asked how long I'd been like here in Queensland, and I was like, "Oh, it's coming up on 9 years now." So, you're pretty much already you're almost just a Queenslander now. I said, "The fuck I am."
Yeah.
I tell you what. So I've been to PWA. I've done the Melbourne stuff. I didn't actually do MCW, but I've been to a ton of shows in Melbourne, right? I've seen Renegades when they came up here. I've done EPW. I've done pretty much the lot. RC Dub and Wrestle Rampage. Are a big hole in my Australian wrestling experience. They're the two companies that I'm really devastated I haven't gotten a chance to get down and see yet. That I really desperately want to go to an RC Dub show, because I think they're like some of my favorites when we review the shows, right?
Oh, they're very
We've
good.
never seen a bad RCW show, and that's saying something. Like every show we've watched from RC Dub has been quality.
If they ever book me and the boys, you'll have to come down with us.
That sounds delightful, and that would be a bloody blast.
I tell you what, if that happens, I can afford the return flight. I'll come down as well, and the night before or the day after, we'll do a pod. We'll do a live pod. I've got a venue in Adelaide. I'm eyeing for Brainia, so it'll be worth a recon trip for me as well. There you go.
But it's like
we're
RC
happy to
Dub
lay down
card.
for everybody. You can tell by most of our
Look at
matches.
the RC Dub card that got reviewed last week, right? Like, it's truly some of the best shit in Australia, no question. Right? Brode says, weird story, my first major show, minus house shows, was MC Dub Thornbury Theatre show, where he put Matt Silver through a table. Vintage. There you go.
Was it the a ballroom brawl? Because I think I've got that on DVD.
Wow.
Anyway, we got to ask some questions.
Yeah, let's ask some questions.
Let's
look, this one got covered. Anonymous question here. Does R-Truth win one set of tag titles and who wins the other set? We kind of had that conversation. Todd, this one I assume is for you. Who are the easiest and hardest guests to get, and how do you get them?
Well, he just asked me, and I said yes. I mean, that's probably the easiest.
The problem with some of the guests is it's hard to fucking get rid of them.
Yeah, Lachlan.
No,
hey, I came on as a host, okay?
Yeah, I actually did. He did from day one. The easiest ones are the guys, because I've just known, I've been lucky enough that I've been in wrestling for long enough that if I don't know somebody, then I know somebody who knows that's somebody that I'd like to talk to. So I would just for instance, I had no idea how to contact Mikey Nichols, and I didn't know him from a bar of soap, so I didn't really feel like being that guy that slid into someone's DMs going, I have a wrestling podcast. Would you like to come on and talk to me? So I just messaged Dave Storm and said, Dave, I'd love to talk to Mikey.
That well, Todd.
Thanks. Yeah, that's all right. I just messaged Davis and said, what's Mikey like? Do you think he'd like to come on and talk? And Mikey Davis was gracious enough to set that up for me. Honestly, the hardest ones have always just been the international guys. They've always been the hardest ones. The ones that have been the worst to try and hook up. We had one that was I had one that was set, and it was with the producers, one of the writers / producers of Dark Side of the Ring. And we'd been going back and forward for about a month, 2 months, and it set the day up. So I took the day off work to make sure I was, because I will accommodate my time to suit them, because I know the time difference in America is what it is. So I took the day off work, everything was set up, sent the link off, and just sat there. And to this day, I've still never heard anything more from the guy afterwards.
There was one, and I can't remember who it was, but I remember sitting around with Zoom open for an hour going...
Yeah, that was that other one. Right? That was a GCW tour.
It was.
That's what it was.
That's right. Yep.
I remember because I was at work. I was at work and you were messaging me going, what's going on? I went, I don't know, brother. I'm at work.
I remember that.
Yep, I was sitting there, Zoom open, ready to go.
Yeah. But no, the Aussie wrestlers have been the easiest ones to deal with. Always the easiest to deal with. Just because I'm lucky enough that I'm in the business, so I get that sort of that grace, if you will, because they sort of know. The hardest Australian one would have been Robbie, and not because of Robbie. That was because I had to pre-do questions and then send them to New Japan.
Yeah.
When he'd first gotten signed, because they were really worried, because I can't remember who it was, but one of the boys who'd gone on another podcast and said a lot of stuff that the New Japan office didn't really like. So then they sort of instituted, we'd like to see the questions before you, and all that sort of stuff. So, but that's it. Brody's easy as fuck. I know Brody. The problem is getting him off the line. That's the problem with Broads. No, stuff like Brody. I've known Brody longer than I've known anyone in Australia. I knew Brody before Australian wrestling.
Brody was one of the most intimidated I've ever been on the podcast when we were doing those.
So dumb.
And I know, but it was we were doing and it was World Series, right? Brody came on to do World Series reviews with us, and I'm like, that's Big Brody Marshall. I'm hosting a show with Brody Marshall. Just be, and he was an absolute gentleman.
Yeah. See, I just know him as Lanky, before wrestling. So it was just.
All right, we on to the next question?
Yes, do that.
Here we go. This one's to try and get you in trouble, Todd. Thoughts on there being no Brisbane girls on a Brisbane show?
This would be because of the announcement today from World Series Wrestling
that Delta's going to be on the Brisbane show.
Yeah. Look, they've on their touring roster, they already have 3 girls on their touring roster, It was, I think it's, what's her name? Ash by Elegance.
Yeah.
Dana Brooke.
Okay, Dana Brooke.
Was that? Dana Brooke.
Okay, Dana Brooke.
Yes. Thingy from Perth, Lena Cross, and Cardona's valet. What's her name again? Sorry, Steph Delander.
SDL?
SDL. So really, I think most other shows will maybe have one more like Australian girl. Why wouldn't you have the hottest act in Australian wrestling on your show if you could get her? Because Delta is undeniably the hottest act in Australian wrestling at the moment. Like, I don't think there's any argument that can be made that she's not. She's the Riot City Wrestling Grand Champion. She's the MCW Intercommonwealth and Women's Champion. She's taking on bloody Jordan Grace next weekend for the Impact's title, for the TNA Championship. Like, she is the biggest, like literally nowadays, she would be the biggest star in Australian wrestling that isn't signed by a major promotion or had a major promotion's like exposure.
Yet.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know that you could like find someone. I don't think there is a girl in Queensland at the moment that would be a better pick as a worker than her.
I think if you're doing a tour of this nature, you have got to get Delta while you can.
Yes.
Yep, 100%. I'll say, and look, I'm going to be really frank here. Brody's jumping in. Who would be the female you'd pick from Queensland? I'm not going to name names because then we start getting into favoritism and that kind of stuff. There's maybe 2 girls in Queensland I could see being on this level of show. And even then, with both of those names, I would be apprehensive. Right?
Look, there's a lot of girls that have got a lot of potential.
Yes.
Over the next couple of years. But it's just girls like Eugenie. There's Tessa Armstrong who works for UPW. She's really good. Billy Mack, I nearly said what her real name was there. Billy Mack is a really good worker as well. There's a very, very green Christina Cade, but like give that a couple of years and she'll be really, really good. There's a group of young girls that are coming through, and like there's a risk of going,
Mars, yes, you know,
like
there's a number of that.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, and I don't mean this in any way in a derogatory way, if you wanted to tick a box, you could put them on the show. But then in ticking that box, that girl will get exposed for lack of a better term, as not being quite ready.
I'm going to be
and
straight up here.
I'd rather somebody be like cherry ripe and ready to go and be on those shows. It's very much like they do with MC Dub. MC Dub don't put people on there that don't think is quite ready for it yet. Ready for the stage. Not ready for a match, ready for the stage. Go on. Sorry, Lachlan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble for this. But hey, if the person wants to talk to me about it, they can talk to me about it. And this isn't going on the podcast. There was a Brisbane girl wrestling on the last World Series show that came to Brisbane. It wasn't good. Right? It was fine at a stretch. Right? And that match got kind of led by someone who was international, but is also extremely green, who probably would have been better having someone to lead her. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn with that. Todd, you know the match that I'm talking about.
I do.
That match is something that if I was organizing World Series Wrestling, I would go, well, I want to make sure that doesn't happen again. Right? And that's no disrespect to either of the people involved in that match. There was a lot of factors going into that. And I don't think that I would have put that match together knowing things around that, how much wrestling those people had done recently, etc., etc. But that match went on, and I think there's probably some apprehension about having a repeat of that. Where, on the other hand, you can just get Delta
Well, but why wouldn't you?
Like,
Why
no
wouldn't
brainer,
you?
right?
Why wouldn't you do that? Especially if, like, if what everyone expects to happen happens, and she's not here anymore, then the most people in Brisbane that will be exposed will be on that show. Like, because there will be 450, 500 people at that show at least, because it's nearly sold out. So I don't know. However many people fit into that show, fit into that venue, will see that. So then when and if and when and maybe she gets signed, say like NXT or WWE, and they see her, everyone will go, where did we see her? Oh, we saw her on World Series Wrestling.
Exactly.
Which helps the company in the long run.
Brody Marshall mentioning the first Brizzy World Series Wrestling show, and I'll say at the time, I think the women's wrestling scene in Australia, in Queensland specifically, was significantly less advanced than it was now.
Well, mate,
and
the Queensland
knowing
the
again,
women's
who was in
wrestling
that
scene
match, but I believe that was a match with Tessa Blanchard, right?
Yes. The women's wrestling scene in Queensland at that time was that girl.
All right, let's move on.
Rightly. There wasn't that many others.
Let's move on so we're not here till 12:30.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, let's keep going.
Yes.
Let's talk about women's wrestling in Queensland. We've already said strong future, present needs experience, and it will be great. How good is it seeing guys like Queensland workers heading to Japan?
It's good seeing everyone head to Japan.
Yes, I love it. Mm-hmm. Like, I see, like, Mitch has been over there a few times. I know that Zeke Andino absolutely murdered when he went over there. Looked really, really good. He got a write-up this week on some New York. There was some New York Journal sort of thing did a write-up on him. Really, really impressed people. It's great to see, like Jeff said, it's great to see Aussies, period, going over there and like showing out. Like, because I think Mickey Fortune's sister is now over has been training and is now like part of the roster. I can't remember what company that's with. Lachlan, do you remember?
Not off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I mean, it's the only reason you're here, but that's fine. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who. We can all celebrate when an Australian worker goes over to Japan and has a great tour.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look at the guy we don't even really talk about. That's Chris Weiss. He fucking lives there and works there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one specifically to get Todd in trouble. I'm going to mix these two together. Is VPW's Legion just a poor man's next level / top tier? And thoughts on VPW's Legion?
Won't be a sec.
They're a group.
Just going to post my camera.
They're I don't know what to say, man. Like, I can't say they're a poor man's next level part because they were totally different. Like, next level was totally different. Top tier are totally different to whatever they're trying to do. I don't even know what they're trying to do. So I couldn't tell you from that respect. I can just say that the like next level did a lot of good stuff. We sold a lot of tickets. We filled a lot of buildings when we did that thing. I don't think you can argue with the success top tier have had with Mitch and Tim and Solomon when he was with us as well. Like, Tim and Solomon worked the velocities at PWA. Like, Tim and Mitch have worked the NWA tour. They're doing they did World Series last year against Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian and Pereira, and we just got announced today to be on the World Series Wrestling Tour for this show as well, for the Brisbane leg of it. Like,
took on Ichiban Sweet Boys up in Townsville.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, good luck to them. Like, I wish them all the best. I can't compare us because I don't think we're the same. I think we're just different. Good luck to whatever they want to do.
By the way, Alex Fireheart is the girl who started with TJPW recently, who you meant, Todd. Yes, that's correct. Lachlan was right. Let the record show. TJPW is correct. I went and looked it up as well.
Don't break your arm
what's
when
the
patting
best
yourself
and
on the
worst-
back too.
What's the best and worst thing about doing the show? I'll go ahead and answer worst is Todd.
Mate, without me, you wouldn't be on the fucking show. Shut up.
I was going to be
Very true.
I would have said your internet, but that's fine.
I was going to be
Best and
sincere.
worst thing about doing the show, boys. Go.
Sometimes we talk over each other.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes but the best thing is being able to hang out with your mates. Like, I'm so excited about next week because I get to meet you guys. I really am. I mean, Lachlan, you and I have met each other a few times now, but I finally get to meet you, Todd. I mean, that's just thrilling for me.
Genuinely, what I was going to say is worst thing about doing the show is sometimes when I'm in a mood, you know, when the black dog hits, you don't always want to watch wrestling. And feeling a commitment to keep up with wrestling when it's shitty and when things are happening that, you know, you don't necessarily want to be paying attention to, Vince. It sucks to feel obligated to be keeping up with that stuff. But the best is definitely, you know, having these two guys who I can shoot the shit with, whether it's about wrestling or not. It's just a delight to have two mates to hang out with.
And this is going to sound weird. I absolutely agree with you, Lachlan, and you know that. But it's not just you two. It's also everyone in the chat and everyone that's come up to us at shows. And, you know, I mentioned off here that Mr. Cliff came up to us and was an absolute legend in Perth. He was so lovely.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone in the chat, Tim Wilkes, we've met, you know, Bob Vance, I think we've met, Alex Feihart, we met, obviously, Jamie, I get to meet you next week. I'm really excited about it. You know, all of this sort of stuff, it really, really does warm the heart that this show is more than just the three of us talking now. It's actually, you know, and obviously, Broads, I hope to meet you at some point as well, mate. You know, it's just phenomenal.
Keep talking sappy like this, you'll talk us into an 11-hour live stream, Jeff. Best and worst thing about doing the show.
Yeah, the best thing about doing it is like I get to talk with you. I get to talk wrestling. I get to talk all the stuff that like we will talk on. Everyone talks on the fucking like on internet and all that shit. And it's not the same as being able to converse with your friends and talk about like really debate wrestling with your friends. And when you get to interview people to pick people's brains and all that sort of stuff, that to me is the best. It's I love what we've built over 10 years. I really love the worst thing about it. And it's not even the worst thing. It's something I wish that I wish would happen, but I know it won't. So it's just one of those things. No, it's not even you. It's like, you know how like every week we'll watch an EPW show, we'll watch an MCW show, we'll watch a Riot City show, blah, blah, blah. And we put up, we share our stuff and we go, you guys, check this out. We need to do this. We're like rising tides. And like, unfortunately, I never see those promotions sharing our stuff. And I never see like a reciprocation of like, these guys are doing really good work to try and help build Australian wrestling.
That's fair.
That's probably the most, it's not the worst thing, but it's the most frustrating thing. Because if they did that and if they shared it and that we picked up more listeners, then we picked up more listeners from every other promotions that all did that, then guess what? All those other promotions would benefit from that because those other people are listening to the show that are watching, like that we're promoting Australian wrestling to. It's just, yeah.
And I think
sometimes
it
feels like
the
rising.
Aussie promotion specifically there, Todd. But I also know that there's a lot of frustration when other stuff happens around Australian wrestling and we work to promote it and we hear very little back, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like that's the most frustrating thing about it, to be honest. Because like, even though we can be critical, we're never like, don't watch this. This is the shit. So it's never like, oh, I wouldn't watch that show. I wouldn't bother about following those guys. We never do that. We would never do that. Unless, of course, they're doing something that hurts the fans like we did with DMDU. But that's like that to me is the only thing. And it's only because like, especially with the whole ethos of like rising tides, it's like rising tides as long as we're the ones that are rising. Like, no, that's all. Like, I know it's a just old man yelling at a cloud thing, and like I understand it, but it's just something that for someone like me who's been working for 10 years, like to do nothing but like promote Australian wrestling. Like we make no money. Well, I hate to break this to you guys, we make zero money from this. Like I'm in the hole constantly.
We make negative money
every month. I'm in the hole every month doing this show. But it is what it is. I hope it changes, but I don't see it changing, unfortunately.
I think.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, let's speed round. Who is your most underrated Australian wrestler?
Todd Eastman. Fucking great.
Jeff, you got one?
I think I really like JJ Furno. I think JJ Furno, if he can put it all together, he'll be great. He'll be absolutely just so solid. He's not the most buff guy, but boy, for a tall lad, he can do some amazing flippy stuff. I really like JJ.
I'm going to say most underrated Albion Troska.
Yeah, that's a good call. I don't mind her. He's
Matt Gage.
Yes, thank you, Matt Gage. I think is really, really good. So,
and Brody Marshall.
I don't know about most. I don't know about most underrated. I think Zeke Andino has got to be close.
Zeke's very good.
He can work his fucking ass off, and nobody really talks about him.
Very good.
Yeah.
Next.
Andy PWDU says, tough to say he's underrated when he's won belts everywhere, but Caveman Ugg's having the best matches in the country this year. It's true. I don't think he's underrated, but I think he is underrated, but in a way that all Australia is.
He's rated.
Do you ever say anything good about AEW? The answer is yes, but rarely.
No, I've heard Todd say good things about AEW. Like, I really liked when that show went off the air. Just the lead into the ad break was great. And how much coke has Tony really done? Those are the three things you've said about AEW.
Look, I don't.
We're off here, I can say
Magazine for underrated says Queensland in general, by the way.
My favorite wrestlers my favorite thing is FTR. They work for AEW. It's not. The problem isn't the roster. They've got a murderer's row of a roster. Like I think Adam Copeland said it this week on Dynamite. They got a murderer's row of roster. It's the ringleader that's marching them all in line. That's the issue with them. And I'm going to rail against that because guess what, guys? Booking's the kind of thing I'm really passionate about because it's what I do.
Yeah.
So I look into that.
And if you think
minutiae
back,
of stuff.
I specifically remember saying, and Andy PWDU says, start the podcast again. I need to hear Todd tell me how Punk is justified and right in everything he said this week. We'll get to that. But I think if you think back to when we were looking at the AEW card for the last big event, when there were 6 matches on it, we were going, yes, let's go. And then they added 6 or 7 more, right? Like that's the thing with AEW is we do get hype about it. We are excited about it. They put on great matches and then they let us down at the final hurdle consistently. And that's what we criticize. Does anyone else think Gable will cost Zayn the IC title?
I think we covered that.
We covered that.
Yeah,
Damian Priest, new world heavyweight champion. We covered that. Does Lachlan's internet connection crap out as Cody and Roman go to finish on Monday? My bet is I won't survive the ladder match. Is there ever a cutoff point for talent's potential? As in, is there a point where management / bookers lose interest in moving someone up the pecking order?
Todd, that's more your department than mine.
Yeah.
And Lachlan's.
Not a cutoff point, but there will become a time, I guess, when you're constantly trying to help someone, you're constantly trying to give somebody advice, and you can tell that they're not listening to you or they're not paying attention to you, then you kind of go, okay, well, this person obviously doesn't want any help and doesn't want anything, so I'm not going to invest any more of my time into that person. And this is not just me saying, this is like, I'll tell you right now, there are guys that book MCW that I've heard those exact same words from. that I will help you and I will offer you advice. And if you don't want to listen to it, that's cool. But like, if you come back and you've decided you've changed something up and whatever's best for the show is fine by me. So there's not really a cutoff point, but there can be a cutoff point where you stop investing in someone until they give you a reason to want to invest in them again.
That's what I think. And again, not someone who definitively knows the answer to these kind of questions, but I would say from conversations with Todd and similar people is when you're looking at organizing a card, the people who move to the top of the card are the people who are showing you why you should put them at the top of the card, right? It's not on a whim that people make it to the top, that people get these belts put on them. It's because they're putting in the work. It's because they're showing that they can put butts in seats, that they can wrestle, that they can talk, that they're the whole package. So if someone has potential and they're not utilizing it to put on a great show, then they're not going to move up the card, right? If someone has potential and they use it to put on a great show, then they will move up.
I'm just going to use, I'll use myself as an example, okay? I cannot wrestle. I'm not a wrestler. I've never been a wrestler. I've always been a manager. I've trained to be a wrestler. The reason I got put into matches is because I sold whatever I did, and I got, like, people were interested in seeing me get my ass kicked. People were interested in wanted me to get my comeuppance. Has nothing to do with my wrestling skill, because I have none. Honestly, there's nothing to do with that. As hard as I work in every other aspect, made up for that because of the way the crowd reacted to me, or the way the crowd reacts to me. That is the same for wrestlers. Wrestlers can be great, but if your attitude is shit behind the scenes, there we go. Brody says it here. There's a lot to do with training and doing the teamwork thing with setups, pack-ups, and paying your dues is a huge thing. And I think a lot of time there are a lot of the younger generation that don't understand that for some reason. I don't know what it is, unfortunately. They don't understand like that you don't just get given everything. You have to work for them. You have to earn.
This is one of the things I paid attention to at Wide Bay is at the end of the show, I just look at who's packing down the ring. Or before the show, I look at who's helping set up. And you know what? So many of those are the guys who end up at the top of the cards because they're working to make the show better, because they're committed to that. Like, it turns out that it's really not that difficult. And last one here, how to overcome a stigma of this guy or girl works here, so we're not interested in them, asking for a friend.
Sure. Job Bateman. No, look, I mean, I think it depends where and who. Royce worked some shows. I know that, you're kind of going, oh, well, that's his choice. I think everyone has a choice to work somewhere or not. And good talent always rises, and talent that provide teamwork and leadership always rises. That's my opinion.
I think that you have to take a step back sometimes and look where you're working, because like oftentimes, yeah, it's great to work some of those places. It's great to get that experience, but you almost have to weigh up, does that experience counter does that experience overdo or overtake the potential quote unquote stink you might have on you from working those shows because of what the rest of that show is like? Because it's very hard. It's like you could be on, and I'm not going to name any shows at all. You could be on a show that is like skill level wise fucking below average, but your match is the best match on that card. It's still hard to explain that to somebody.
Yeah.
Like I work for like
I'll name shows if that's all right.
No, I work for Numpty Wrestler. Yeah, I know you will. Please don't, because I don't need my DMs fucking overriding again.
All right.
I work for I work for Numpty Wrestling. Yeah, I work for Numpty Wrestling Alliance. I've seen those shows. They're not very good, mate. And I understand it's hard to break into other places. It just is. But that's like go and train.
All right, let's move on and actually do the podcast.
Yeah, let's do some podcasts. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to do it. He's going to... Hang on.
All right.
He's getting the clap. Welcome back to Wrestle Radio Australia. Huh? What?
You clapped. You clapped. When you clap, you're supposed to be ready to go.
We were ready.
Shut up. Shut up.
I was
Welcome
ready.
back to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. There was a big... Hang on, do I need to do a third clap? Because these boys are fucking with me. Nah,
you are
okay,
fucking...
ready? I'm
No
going to clap
offense,
for
mate,
a
but you are
third
shit.
time because you boys are jerks. Because you boys are absolute jerks. Welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I've clapped 3 times to get to the news today, but it's a big news story, so it deserves it. CM Punk was on the Ariel Helwani podcast, and he talked about a lot of stuff. He talked about the Jack Perry incident. He talked about Colton Hangman. He talked about AEW's rehab policy. And notably, he talked about issues with Tony Khan. Quote, he's a nice guy, but not a boss. And quote, if you're happy with some goof saying you had a 5-star match and the building is 1/4 full, we aren't in the same business. Todd, go ahead and tell us that CM Punk was right.
Look, I'm just going to say what he said on that podcast is not anything I haven't heard from other people. And not necessarily the people you think I would have heard them from. So, what
you're saying is CM Punk was right?
He was honest. He was honest. Listening to the podcast and the way he said that he addressed sort of stuff. Like, all I can think is that when you think about Tony Khan, it's almost fucking like he's displayed almost gross negligence going into it. When CM Punk comes up to someone and goes, look, that's a problem, you need to sort that. And he never sorted, like every time he's done it, he never sorted it. And again, Punk did the wrong thing. Shouldn't have done anything. And I know that's everybody's out when we're saying it. Or does that mean that you get to assault him? No, you numpty. It doesn't. But it should never have got to that point. And that's the thing. The Jungle Boy story where Tony Schiavone come up to Punk about the window. That should have been dealt with then by Tony. The next day, it should have been dealt with by Tony Khan. And go, hey, why are you yelling at producers? Why are you yelling at the doctor? Why are you yelling at Tony? Why are you yelling at Tony Schiavone? Why did Punk have to come and tell you that that's not your thing? Sorry, Andy, just something there. Here we go. Let's read this. The most disappointing takeaway. Someone
quote.
Yes, please.
All right, or not. Okay.
No,
the most disappointing takeaway. Someone who spent a year talking about, quote, workers' rights, who got so offended when Paige called him out for it, now says that the guaranteed money is the worst thing to happen to wrestling. What a hypocrite.
All right. Okay. So he got offended because that was not what they talked about going into that promo. So it wasn't what he said. It was literally he had nowhere to go from that because what they'd had planned was totally not talked about. So that's why he got to. And I love how you wrestling fans talk about this fucking thing. You cling on to this fucking thing where the guaranteed money is the worst thing to happen in wrestling. In a way, it fucking is. In a way. Because there are certain wrestlers there, and I'm not just talking nowadays, I'm talking even back in the day, that were happy to sit in fucking catering and not really work very hard for them because they had their money already. There was no real incentive for them to improve. And that's what Punk meant by that. Not by the fact that like these guys shouldn't have got paid what they got paid. No, it pulled away some of the incentive to get better, some of the incentive to want to draw bigger houses, because the bigger house of draw made no real different money to. I come from a union background as well, Andy, so don't fucking talk to me about that shit. I'm a tradesman.
I think there's definitely look, guaranteed money for workers is a good thing, right?
Yes.
There needs to come a point where performers in an entertainment industry make their jobs secure and earn that guaranteed money by increasing attendance at shows, by putting on great performances, right?
Yes.
Within capitalism, and we can talk no ethical consumption under capitalism all we want, within capitalism, when it comes to incentives, the one that people go to is money, right? See, the idea is that you incentivize people to draw bigger crowds by having gates associated with extra income. That can be done as bonuses on top of guaranteed money. I think that's better than not having minimum money come in, right? Guaranteed money is good for workers, and we want people to be able to live. But no, Jeff's really eating right now, Retro Idiot. That's some chocky Easter eggs he's got there. Guaranteed money is a good thing. There needs to be ways for workers to be incentivized to get people invested in the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think what Punk meant by that, and I'm really taking a guess here. Guaranteed money isn't the bad thing. You get so much guaranteed money is the bad thing.
I think much like anything else, the idea of something is great, but when you are paid so much that you get lazy around that paycheck, that is the issue. And I agree 100% with Old Man Yells at Cloud Phil on that one.
Andy PWDU says, is TV time in your next contract not the motivation to get better? Not for all the people who had guaranteed money with WCW who sat out the invasion angle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And no, it doesn't matter because you can just go somewhere else now. The alternative is great, but the alternative alongside guaranteed money means people.
Would you like to? There are people right now on contracts in AEW, right? And these people aren't very high up in the card at all. They are opening to mid-level matches, right? Like there are people on like contracts right now in AEW on the same money that Kevin Nash left WWE to go to WCW for.
And that's ridiculous.
Where's the motivation to like, and you're working 1 or 2 nights a week. And if you're working 1 or 2 nights a week and you still don't want to come in and work, there's a problem there. And I fully understand people should have guaranteed money. 1,000% guaranteed money, a guaranteed wage. This is what you earn. Say, let's just put a ballpark figure out, okay? Your guaranteed money for the year, right? Your guaranteed baseline contract is $100,000, right? And this is just a number I'm throwing out there, right? If we raise attendance by 15% over the year, everybody will get a bonus of X amount % on top of your wage, on top of what that $100,000 is you signed for. If you headline a pay-per-view, there's an extra bonus there for you. I'm more in the lines of bonus structure than I am. Punk also said there are wrestlers that will work 1 night and spend 4 weeks at home and be happy with it, earning good money. Yeah, of course. Everyone would be happy with it, but it's just that is it. That is just, the workers will be happy with it, but they've got no incentive to really want to work hard because
you see, the problem is really that as much as Tony said he's not recreating WCW, he fucking is.
Yeah.
He 100% is.
The biggest one I found, and it's something that he said offhanded, but then like I know that the Brian Alvarez went into more depth of it today. I think it was on the daily like Figure 4. Is that when Punk got injured in WWE, the next day they go, "Oh, here's your flight, here's your doctor, here's your rehab program. This is it all sorted," right? In AEW, they have to find their own doctor. They have to find their own rehab program. They have to do that. And not only that, they have to pay for all of that up front, and then AEW will reimburse them afterwards.
He said himself, he's just lucky that he's good mates with Samson, because otherwise he'd be kind of fucked.
But that's like that, and the way he said, like, I don't know how the Jaguars get treated, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be the same way.
But then also let's think about, like, because there's a lot of talk about, like, what's the incentive for workers. If I look at someone like Puck, right, who I think is a brilliant worker who works very rarely, right? From his perspective, why would you want to work more? Because he's getting paid to be at home, and every time he shows up at work, that's when he's degrading his body. That's when he's potentially losing matches and losing cachet in the eyes of fans. Or he can get paid to sit at home halfway across the globe from where the shows are happening, still get the money coming in, stay in peak shape, and then when he goes somewhere else after his contract ends, he still looks like $1 million. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So,
a
like-
thing. Like I completely understand where Punk is coming from on that thing. I just, I would. I just think there's a lot of.
There needs to be a way to incentivize workers to perform well.
Yeah.
Yes, there should be a more of an incentive based in their contract than just like, here's your money for the year. Doesn't matter what you do. You could main event every show next year. You're still going to earn your $250,000.
I think it should be done by fan reaction. So if you get a polite clap, that's an extra $10,000. But if you get the full, this is awesome, clap, 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 clap. Yeah, there's like an extra 50. I'm joking, of course.
No. Sorry, I was just reading Brody's 2 points of the argument. If you're out of the audience eyes for a while, people lose interest in you and your value drops. And unfortunately, that too is the booking style of Tony as well. He cycles guys in and out.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Look at Daniel Garcia. He spent 6 months last year not being on TV when he was one of the most over acts in the company.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just, it's
Miro
just
says pretty much. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like, I can't argue with that, but at the same time, like, if Puck goes and shows up on WWE tomorrow and it's the return of Neville, right, then I go, oh, this is exciting because he'll be fresh. Whereas Andrade showed back up and I was like, yeah, but I've seen Andrade in nothing matches for the past 6 months.
I think the only person that's used really regularly is Jericho, and no one wants him to be. He could just fuck off and be happy.
All right, speaking of what we want for Jericho, AEW releases happened over this past week. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has reported a number of wrestlers who have been let go as of Monday. These include The Boys, Dasha Currett, Jose the Assistant, Jora Joel, Anthony Henry, Gravity, Stu Grayson, Parker Bordeaux, and Slim J. PW Insider confirmed that list and reported that AEW is, quote, currently evaluating their talent roster and making cuts to benefit both the company and the talent.
The last bit made me laugh. We're going to make a cut to benefit the company and you guys.
Yeah.
Because we think it'll benefit you.
You know what, Parker Bordeaux? This is for you.
Yeah. Here's a pink slip.
All right. Who is interesting in this list? Stu Grayson is one we've heard things about. Apparently maybe didn't want to work. I know that the stuff with the Dark Order really hasn't been going on for Stu Grayson, so that's interesting. The Boys is a strange one for me because I think they do great work. I think
the Boys were in the middle of a storyline.
Yeah, like
Ring of Honor.
Huh? Like, why get rid of the Boys? And then everyone else, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Parker Bordeaux, I'm surprised he survived that long.
Look, I think
Will says here, let's just make Justin Roberts work more.
I think Dasha is great. I don't know why they let her go. Anthony Henry, this is the one that I can't believe people aren't jumping up more about because that guy's injured. He got released while he was injured. So that
should have his goddamn pink slip when he had a broken fucking neck.
Yeah, and they also here's a I actually got this quote, so I want to put this quote up. And if you wanted to,
just
please
before
read
you
it.
do, Andy from
Yes, my friend.
PWDU says, didn't they tell us when the company launched that they'd be different and that people could count on their contracts? This is rubbish from AEW, says Andy. Here's a quote from Tony Khan in the Wrestle Dream media call from September last year. Even if I get punched in the face with circumstances, it doesn't mean that I'm going to take it out on staff by cutting 100 staff or laying off 30 wrestlers. I really care about the people here, and I would do anything I can to protect the jobs and livelihood of the people who work here.
Except for those 10 guys. But aside from that, I said 30. I didn't say 10.
Yeah.
I said 30.
Here's the economic rationale, though. The company's not making money.
No, they're not.
And
he's also just signed 3 talents to extraordinarily large contracts.
Yeah.
Like back to back, he signed Monet, Okada, and Ospreay.
And Edge isn't going to be coming cheap.
No.
Like, let's be honest. Edge is Adam Copeland's going to be a pretty penny.
And Brody Marshall says new AEW CFO would have made the change, which makes sense.
Yes. Do you know what fucking annoys me? And it's the whole thing about, and we talked about this ages ago with when WWE do their releases and they've got the 90-day non-competes and all of that sort of stuff, right? All of these guys and girls have been released into the market straight up now, okay? AEW doesn't pay them any more money. They've been released. They've got a non-compete. They don't have a non-compete, so they can go anywhere they want. They could do that before. They could already work all the indies. So what benefit are they getting out of this? And they don't have 90 days where they can sort their affairs. They don't have, there's no, tension of in fucking, 90 days the boys can go and work in, GCW. The boys could go and work, blah, blah. Same, Stu Grayson, they didn't re-sign him. They made a big deal about re-signing him, and then they didn't use him again. They basically re-signed him for that one night.
Here's the thing. You know that WWE isn't going to be interested in any of these people, at all.
No, not really. I mean, the most person I'd be interested in is Dasha.
Yeah.
And if I had maybe Andrade with Joel the assistant, Jose the assistant, that might be cool. But yeah, Anthony Henry could work really well in NXT. But from what I've heard, he's now weighing up whether or not he wants to wrestle anymore.
And look, that's a shame. That's a real shame. Yeah, Impact / TNA, Keanu's right. TNA might get Stu Grayson as a TNA fan. They'd like that. I think that.
Do you know what the problem is, though, Keanu? TNA aren't hiring right now. They're trying to cut staff. They're trying to cut money. That's why they didn't re-sign the Motor City Machine Guns. These places aren't there for them.
Yeah. But look, if we're going to talk about TNA, we should mention that the TNA Knockouts World Championship is going to be on the line at Her on Starrcast Downunder on April 12th. We've got the official card here for that Her show. The boy is good. Main event is going to be TNA Knockouts World Championship on the line with Jordan Grace defending against Delta. We've also got Mickie James versus Vix Crow, the former Alicia Crow. The Triple R Reina de Reinas Championship, Flamera versus Steph DeLander versus Jody Threat. Tennille Dashwood versus Jessica Troy. Ow! We've got the OPW Women's Championship on the line with Erica Reed versus UK import Lizzie Evo. We've got the OPW Women's Tag Team Championships being presented inaugurally by Bull Nakano in the match between PPK and the Backslide Girls. We've also got Lisa Marie Verone's six-pack challenge with the winner earning an OPW Women's title shot. Announced for that match so far are Charlie Evans, Aisha, Tali, and Lena Ross. So that is going to be a banger of the show. And then the following night, the April the 13th, Saturday night, is going to be Bret Hart's Australian Stampede. That one's also got a TNA title on the line. The TNA Heavyweight Championship defended by Moose against Josh Alexander in a huge match to be happening on Australian soil. As well as that, the OPW title is on the line, where Adam Brooks defends against Mance Warner. Slex is going to take on Shelton Benjamin. The Parea are going to defend their OPW tag team titles against Gangrel and Edward Dusk. Kushida is taking on Robbie Eagles. Chris Masters is taking on Mike Rallis for the Stu Hart Heritage title. And we've also got six-man tag team action as the CWE tag team champions, JT Baba and the Sings, take on Emin Osman and the Natural Classics. Stacked.
And added to that,
and just announced,
was Powerhouse Hobbs against Tommy Knight, which is gonna be nuts.
That's going to be crazy. So if you want to not only see that, but you want to get involved with, meet and greets with Shelton Benjamin, Gangrel, Tennille Dashwood, Mike Rallis, Vix Crow, Lisa Marie Veron, Flamer, SoCal Val, Dalip Singh, aka the Great Khali, Mance Warner, Steph Delanda, Powerhouse Hobbs, Shanky, Bull Nakano, Kushida, Jody Threat, Moose, Jordan Grace. Head to Starrcast Down Under. That's going to be happening Thursday 11th through the 14th of April at the Mining Exchange in Ballarat. You can get a single-day ticket for $66 or a gold pass that also gets you into both of those shows for $110, which is insane value. Andy PWDU mentioning, as well as Tommy and Hobbs, Dan Archer versus Luke Watts for the Slam title. That's going to be absolutely cracking. So make sure 11th to 14th of April, if you really want to get into it, that Platinum Pass is there for $660, and that gets you into all of the events, including the opening night with Mickey James, the Q&A session, I believe it is, with Bret Hart. That's going to be for the anniversary of the match with Owen, the Khali closing party, all of that stuff. Make sure you get there. And as we mentioned during the break and last week, there's going to be 1, 2, 3 members of Wrestle Radio Australia in attendance. Come say hello while you're there, please. All 3 of us in the same room for the first time ever. Please come and shake our hands. We would love to chat to you.
Brody, 2 words, government grant.
Yeah, that's the only way they're making money from this, because they have spent every penny there is in the world on talent. Go to oceanaprowrestling.com or starrcast.com for tickets. As a reminder, Starrcast has 2 R's. That's STARRCAST.com. You can get your tickets there. As well as that, there's a bit of an after party going on with a little thing called WrestleMania. Tell us about WrestleMania, Jeff.
Oh, have you not heard? WrestleMania have been invited to Starrcast as the official after party on Saturday, the 13th of April at 10 p.m. We are so excited to be part of this.
10:30, mate. Get your times right, will you?
At 10:30, I'm sorry. I'm also just looking up the name of the venue. But we are so excited to pause temporarily our comedy festival happenings and be going to Starrcast on the 13th. We're back here on the 14th in Melbourne doing a show which is it's selling amazingly. This is going to be absolutely incredible. The Starrcast after party, 10:30 on Saturday, the 13th of April. It's going to be down at Auntie Jack's in Ballarat, which is about 100 meters from the action. And also this Sunday, 7th of April. Thank you, bro, saying congratulations. This Sunday at 5:30 at the Catfish. All tickets are $25. That's what we've done. We've gone a bit nuts. All tickets are $25. Look at that.
We've gone crazy.
Look at that lineup. It's Tosh Greenslade. It's Dino from Nova. There's Jake Taylor.
The
Big
Gift.
Robbie Thorne.
I like how we
wait
till the end of the show where he's nice and toasty.
Bo Stegman, Bro Savard, Welchie from On the Turnbuckle, and this idiot. It's going to be great. Do not miss this Sunday at 5:30 at the Catfish, as well as the Starrcast after party. Can't talk enough.
Yeah.
Look,
also,
we should mention.
I will say too that if OPW pull their finger out and actually let us know whether or not we do have our media passes, we will have 2 passes to give away. So that will hopefully, if it happens, we might do that on Tuesday if we hear before. So when we do our Tuesday show, we might give away a couple of gold passes. We'll see.
Yeah. So make sure you're here for our post-WrestleMania show on Tuesday night. Very special date for us where we will go and cover everything that happened on WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania. Speaking of WrestleMania weekend, it's also worth knowing Ring of Honor is on in not tomorrow, but the next day on Saturday here, Australian time. Supercard of Honor is going to have Eddie Kingston defending his Ring of Honor World Championship against Mark Briscoe. The Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, Athena is going to defend against Hikaru Shida. And the Ring of Honor World Women's TV Championship tournament finals are going to happen with Queen Aminata versus Billy Starks. But here in Australia, if Starrcast and WrestleMania at the Comedy Festival aren't enough for you and you're in Melbourne, make sure you head along to Renegades on April 21st. That's going to have Aisha versus Charlie Evans versus Tali in a triple threat match. It's going to have the return of Royce Chambers up against Sam Giannis. It's going to have Gino Gambino, the King, versus the aspirationalist Lockie Hendricks. And we all know, we've been talking about it. It's the phrase that's been on everyone's lips. Amen versus Egg. That's right. Amen versus Egg for the Renegades Heavyweight Championship. People are there to see Amen. They're there to see Egg. I can't wait for that one.
I want to know though, Jeff. You'll know this. Will Cracklejack be on the show?
I can't comment whether Crackerjack is going to be on the show.
No. That's not who you're talking about.
Said Crackerjack.
No, you didn't say Crackerjack.
Sorry, it's the link. Definitely Crackerjack. I don't know whether it's going to be on the show. But after
what about
show,
Crackerjack? Is Crackerjack going to be there?
Cracklejack, Jeff.
After that show at 7:30 on that Sunday night, head on down to the Catfish, catch the 86 tram. It's out the front of the venue.
I feel like this isn't working.
Catch the 86 tram and rock along. It's going to be a fantastic show. It's literally going to be an hour or so after Renegades is finished.
Will Cracklejack be at that one?
WrestleMania. Will Cracklejack be there? Will Cracklejack?
Everyone will be laughing.
WrestleMania after party. Do not miss that out. That one's going to be great as well. We're on for 3 weeks. Thank you, Tim. I am ignoring them like a champ. That's what a smart person.
Speaking of champs, is Cracklejack a champ?
Who? Sorry, Crackerjack. I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, is that his name? Sorry, you've been saying Cracklejack.
Come to WrestleMania, the 7th, the 14th, the 21st. You got lots of choices. Come on down. Yeah, do the thing.
Oh dear.
All right. Well,
I forgot to show you this too. Look at this. Check this out. Check this out. Oh,
hey, there he is.
Look at that handsome devil.
There he is.
There we go.
By the
way,
if you're not ready to see World Series Wrestling, if you haven't got tickets to that, what are you doing with your life? Brisbane, June 28th at the Eaton's Hill Grand Ballroom, Melbourne, June 29th at the Melbourne Pavilion, Sydney, June 30th at Panthers Penrith, and Adelaide, July 1st on the Adelaide Oval. These shows are beyond stacked. You've got Ryan Nemeth, Jack Cartwheel, Shigehiro Iri, Ash Bayel against Brian Cage, Hammerstone, Nick Nemeth, Elijah, Lena Cross, The Pereira, Matt Cardona, Steph DeLander, TJP. Just announced for the Brisbane show are Yeet Stevens, Bobby Bishop, Top Tier featuring Todd Eastman, and of course Delta. I mean, does it get much more stacked than that? I know there's standing room tickets available for Brisbane. I know it's sold out in a couple of states. So if you want to get into that, make sure you hit up World Series Wrestling and get your tickets now. If you're in Brisbane or Adelaide, Brisbane is standing room only. Adelaide, there's only going to be a couple of tickets left. worldserieswrestling.com.au. If you're in Brisbane, say hi to me. I'll be on commentary for that one. Toddy's going to be, standing there yelling at whoever Top Tier is wrestling. So that'll be good fun. And
is it this week?
If you want to be able to yell at...
Hang on, wait before you do that. Is this Friday the release of MCW Icons?
Yes.
They Stream Horizon, streamhorizon.com.au. So it's not on Triller anymore. So hit up Stream Horizon and you'll find links to be able to watch Icons on Friday night, I think it is.
And Icons was a very good show. We haven't really touched on it, but it was a really fun, good show that flowed really nicely. Sometimes MCW and we've had this discussion with with the guys there that the second half is kind of a bit thinner on the ground and the crowd lose their oomph. Not at this one. This one was great. Fantastic show over Easter. I was really pleased with the MCW show over the weekend. And, it was nice seeing a couple of familiar faces. Let's leave it at that.
I kind of wish that they held off putting this up until after Mania weekend, just so we could really dive in and watch it. Yeah. So
it might have to be a review for the week after Mania week. But look, if you thought that this show was good, fun, and well paced, you can go over and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating, give us a review. It helps us get into more ears. Okay, boys, just shut it, okay? Look, hit follow at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia. If you really love what we're doing, hit subscribe. Help us keep doing it. Jump on over to WrestleRadioAustralia.com and you'll be able to find all the links.
Are you ending the show?
Because there's something we should do.
Why? What should we do?
Well, the show's called
Chicken Shit.
Why would we do that?
I don't know.
Because it's the only time I get to complain. I don't complain any other time of the show.
All right, then fucking fine. What's your chicken shit then, Todd?
I want to know, I'd love to know out there, because some of them are probably in the chat right now. Where are the people that are talking about ball dropping and bag fumbling when Parker Bordeaux got released by WWE and AEW signed him? They say, oh, you've just dropped the ball on this guy and you fumbled the bag. This is the next Brock Lesnar. What are you guys do? WWE, what are they doing wrong? Yet it's just another thing where it showed again what happened. It showed that they did the same thing with like Cesar Bononi when WWE released him as well. And then AEW signed him. They fumbled the bag on that guy. They'll couple. I'd love to know where all these people went. Where'd they go? They homered their way back into the bushes.
Sorry, it's just they homered their way back into the bushes. What a great turn of phrase. For me, honestly, I think that the Santos and Dominic against Dragon Lee and Ray could have had better build. And look, I'm clutching at Thor's straws. I'm clutching at straws for this week's chicken shit. But honestly, it just kind of seemed patched together a week before the event. And I'm a bit disappointed in that because it could have really been built up for a while. I know Mysterio was injured, but they could have started to hint towards it previously before now.
Yeah, look, speaking of things getting thrown together at the last minute, I think that this Adam Copeland TNT Open Challenge is, you boys know I love Pentagon. I love Penta so much. And seeing him be inevitably the first victim of Edge here is going to just be a bit of a problem for me. That counts as me getting my catchphrase in there.
I thought it was what's his name first? House of Black. With Edge.
Am I wrong? Is it not?
Yeah, I thought it
pretty
was
sure.
Dynamite, he's got Penta, right?
Has he?
Yeah.
There you go. Because all I know is that the angle that's coming up is like.
Yeah, no, this is my point, right? Like Penta's just getting thrown in there as someone for Adam Copeland to beat. So this is what we're talking about with the AEW talent problem. I think Penta is world championship material, and yet he's getting jobbed out to Adam Copeland on the way to a House of Black storyline.
I will say I found it quite. I don't know if have you guys watched Dynamite yet today?
No.
It's very funny, and if you've ever been to Venom Pro Wrestling, you'll know what this is about. Adam Copeland comes out at the start of the show to give him a good old like a rah-rah. I know people have been talking shit this week, but this is wrestling. AEW is the best going around, and the microphone kept feeding back.
Beautiful.
Like if that is not irony, then I do not know what is. Anyway, continue. What was your?
Yeah, so I just feel like we're wasting, released all of these people, and yet still wasting top quality talent in feeder matches, right? Like, why is this the dynamite match that's going to either end in a no contest or have Pentagon lose for no good reason? Alex Fireheart says chicken shit. Chase Owens is still a champion in New Japan right now. Dude went from getting left on red for the tag league last year as Farley's go-to tag partner to winning the tag belts. Fuck off. And also he can fuck off in general, but that's a whole other can of worms. Also going to tick off Andy PWDU's chicken shit here. We have a legit octogenarian wrestling at a show in Melbourne this weekend. What the actual fuck is that?
Yeah.
Are you coming down, Todd?
And I am also...
You know we're seeing each other soon, right? And not long enough that I'll forget you said that.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny.
I'm also just going to throw out here that a second Gulak controversy is not something that I wanted to be dealing with. So, fuck Gulak. And you can quote me.
I don't know. I don't know about this one.
You ever reach for a handshake and accidentally fondle someone, Todd?
Did he fondle her? Did he fondle her?
No.
Did he put his hands down her pants? Did he inappropriately touch her person?
Can I just stand in?
I'm asking you the question here because the way you just made that sound, you made it sound he went all Donald Trump on somebody.
No, I know, right? I was exaggerating, but I just it's.
But that's cool that you exaggerate.
If he's not being a decent person about it, if he's made someone uncomfortable, then it's a problem. And
if he's done it,
I'm on record as not being a Ronda Rousey fan.
Yeah, but if he's done that inadvertently, did you read his apology thing that he wrote?
I read him saying that he was going for a handshake and it was unintentional.
Yeah. Yes. And don't you think if there were so many people around, somebody would have said something, or she might have said something before she was selling a book? Because Ronda, to me, doesn't really seem like the kind of person that keeps quiet about a lot of things when she's upset.
No, she doesn't. At this point, I will add that Wrestle Radio Australia is available for children's parties. Look, I think that it's... look, we're never going to know 100% what the truth is there. I do think that Ronda has a habit of ignoring the truth quite a bit. See her opinion on Sandy Hook, please, and a series of other school shootings she has vehemently denied the existence of. Saying that, I think that he's apologized. Isn't that like...
Look, I should clarify here. My chicken shit isn't, oh, Drew Gulak is a bad man, right? My chicken shit here is that we're dealing with yet another case of what is appropriate backstage conduct in blah, 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 blah. And this conversation's going to go on forever. And it's, enhanced by the fact that Drew Gulak's brother, we're not even going to talk about. Yeah. Right?
I mean, there is 1,000 kilometers different between that and
yes,
this.
Absolutely. But it's a factor that's going to complicate these conversations, which is frustrating because I'm ready for these conversations to be over. I'm ready for us to not have to talk about, inappropriate backstage conduct anymore. And it seems like we can't fucking avoid it. That's my chicken shit. My chicken shit isn't really Drew.
It's really hard when the owner of the company is such a piece of fucking shit.
Yes.
It really is.
The old owner of the company. Let's be
the former owner
of the company.
Tim Wilkes jumping in with the good stuff. His chicken salad is the Roman and Wyatt documentaries both being outstanding and fitting to both individuals. Todd, do you have a chicken salad for us?
Yeah, I loved the Punk Hawani interview. Because everything he said it's not the first time I've heard it, put it that way. And I just never thought it would actually come out. Because what it looks like he said, he signed an NDA for the first thing. He didn't sign an NDA for anything else. And I still, no way do I condone that he choked the guy. No way. But let's face it, we've all been at work with someone who you'd love to fucking choke. If it was allowed, you would wrap your fucking your hands around that person's neck until their eyes popped. It's just a fact of the matter. And especially if somebody is being fucking, if he was actually the way that Punk said he is, man, and they're in that type of an environment where there's testosterone flying around, that sort of stuff, and Punk's the kind of guy he is, again, do not condone it. I understand why he did it or how he did it. Again, do not condone it. I don't know how much more I have to say that. My other chicken salad is tomorrow morning, Bloodsport 10, 6 a.m. if you're kicking around for it. Mm-hmm. Start of the WrestleMania weekend for me.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, featuring WWE superstar Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Yes, against Masha Slamovich.
Masha Slamovich. Jeff, chicken salad?
I have 2 chicken salads. I have, firstly, I discovered this morning that 2 of my favorite things have collided in that CM Punk was in a Frank Turner film clip some years ago, and they do a match.
Wow.
Yeah, they do a match. It's fucking great. I'll link it in our chat, Lachlan, so you can see it. But it's fucking great. You can see that they're both having a great time. And Frank Turner, who describes himself as a fat, skinny man, was really quite good. It was a lot of fun. So I'll put that in our chat because I think you're a bit of a fan of Frank Turner as well.
Hi-ho.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one, and it's highlighting another documentary. Most people will know that Bryan Danielson's one of my absolute favorite wrestlers. They did shitting livers is Brody's favorite. Yeah, shitting livers. But they did a great documentary on the feud between The Miz and, as he was then, Daniel Bryan.
Rivals.
The rivals this week. It was really nice because, Bryan Danielson stopped and went, I really don't like Mike. Like, not just The Miz. No, he's talking about the person behind him. But it gave me an excuse to watch that amazing Talking Smack promo again. It's now 8 years old, and I can watch it any fucking day of the week because they both played their roles really well. As much as you can say The Miz was on fire and The Miz did a great job, certainly did. Daniel Bryan turning around, and he's constantly said, I either hit him or I walk out. And I chose to walk out. He became he's always been a multi-dimensional kind of wrestler, but this time I just thought it was brilliant. And it gave me an excuse to watch it. And they finished the story really quite nicely. And if, and it's a big if because I think he's in his last year, but if Bryan Danielson ever walks back in the door of WWE, the feud will just get reignited straight away. And I think it's kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Fireheart with his chicken salad was watching TJPW and Noah shows back to back on the weekend. Both very solid shows. Definitely don't sleep on the Noah show from this Saturday gone or TJPW Grand Princess. My chicken salad was going to be Grand Princess 24. Wowie zowie, what a show. When, obviously the one that people are talking about from that show is Minoru Suzuki defeating Maki Ito. Yes, great, wonderful. But Watanabe versus Yamashita from the main event. Hooly dooly. And that's not the only banger on that show. As well as seeing Aja Kong and Max the Impaler in a tag team. Into my veins, please. What a show. I've only seen chunks of it. There are matches that I still need to watch. But the bits that I've seen, wow. What a show. So that is TJPW's Grand Princess 24. I cannot wait to watch the rest of it. Wowie zowie, says Big Brody Marshall, and he's exactly right. Anyone else got anything to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I think next week we should change the show to Making Chicken Liver Shit. Anyway, keep going. There you go, bros. Shout out, mate.
We're going to shit some livers. Look, if you want to shit your liver, follow us on social media at Wrestle Radio AU on X and Instagram. Please don't shit your liver. But
please don't
follow us. Yeah, head to Redbubble. Our merch is there. Search for Wrestle Radio Australia. The proceeds don't go to us. They go to Gotcha for Life, as well as make sure you're subscribed because it's free and you can do it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcasts from. Not Stitcher. That doesn't exist anymore. Let me take it out of the run sheet now so I never say it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Look, it's WrestleMania week. You know that means that we are going to be having a great old time. So rather than, going through my usual Excalibur outro, I'm going to say the real important things here. Number one, have a fantastic WrestleMania weekend, everybody. Number two, if you're in Ballarat, make sure you come say hi. We cannot wait to see everyone who goes to Starrcast next weekend. Once again, we will be live next Tuesday for our show, catching up on everything WrestleMania weekend, including the Raw after WrestleMania. Make sure you go and see some live wrestling, as we were talking about today. Australia's got the best wrestling in the world. Make sure you go see it. It's not just these big international shows. So with that, on behalf of Jeff Setti and Todd Eastman, I've been Lachlan Albert. Till next time, have a good one.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People